toongrin.com.
Remember the Mook Studios animated movies where all the monsters were real and cool looking? Don't you wish we have those real monsters back without resorting to one of those staple plot twists of Scooby-Doo, where after proving the guy in the monster suit was a fraud, the real monster walked off in the other direction, maybe scratching his ass or something? Well, you're in luck, because Scooby-Doo and the Goblin King fulfills about half that promise. Now, Goblin King does a lot of things old school. Like I said, first we're going back to the real monsters, like in the Mook movies and the 80s movies. But as well as the story centering only on Shaggy and Scooby, making them the supreme main characters of the movie. Just kinda like in Arabian Nights. Huzzah for going back to basics! But what's the story? Mystery Inc. are out on the town in Coolsville when they decide to celebrate Halloween at a dockside Halloween carnival. And here we get to see a very different side to Shaggy and Scooby, their skeptical side. Yes, like Fred and Velma before, Shaggy and Scooby become the overly skeptical ones, as they have convinced themselves that because it's Halloween, they know everything is just a dude or dudette in a costume. So they proceed to ruin the hokey magic of Halloween by crashing the magic act of the amazing Krutsky by revealing that he is, in fact, not magic. Rightfully so, Krutsky, played by Wayne King, wants revenge on the two, and luck seems to smile on him as the child of Tinkerbell and Peter Pan, Fairy Princess Willow, voiced by Hayden Panettiere, flies into his tent and is immediately captured by Krutsky. And because he captured a fairy, Magic Law states that he gains her magic powers. And now he's out to get the Goblin Scepter, another magical item that with it will make him the most powerful evil warlock in the world. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby are trick-or-treating and accidentally get themselves roped into getting the scepter first from the Goblin King after visiting the shop of kind Mr. Gibbles, voiced by Wallace Shawn, who reveals to them that magic is real. So now Shaggy and Scooby must travel to another magical Halloween world to claim the scepter and stop Krutsky from taking over the world. Now I think you can guess that we meet all the monsters in the Halloween world, and we get some cute cameos from past Scooby-Doo monsters. But unlike in the Mook animated films, we're in What's New Scooby-Doo territory, so obviously everything is a lot more lighter tone to the point where it's rather distracting from the story. This happens in most of the other movies, but this movie is the worst offender. This is where they add the bonks, splats, and whatnot to make the scene funny. Here's something I can say as just a blanket point to all these times. Tone it down. Your writing and characters alone can make a scene funny. You shouldn't rely on sound effects to emphasize where it's a laugh. Sadly, most producers need to know where the moments are when the audience will laugh, or have any form of emotional response, which is why the laugh track was invented. So this over-dependency on sound effects is because of that need, and in the long run hurts the movie and shows alike. To quickly talk about the animation for a second, I gotta say that the bright design of everything works against the setting. This is supposed to be a Halloween world, and it just looks too inviting and warm. That's fine when we reach the friendly fairy portion of the world, but even when we finally make it to the Goblin King himself and his castle, it's all very bright, warm, and doesn't scream Halloween world. A more darker use of shadowing and maybe some darker colors would have made the world more defined as an alternate world in reality. But on the other hand, the character model designs of all the monsters and characters looks fantastic, and that is mostly the backbone of the design of the movie. Now, there's one thing that literally ruins the movie for me, and if you can't get past this, I'm sure you'll love this movie. But if you can't, like me, you'll think it's mostly eh. My problem is that the story loses me halfway through. After I thought about the actual goal of the movie and the actions these characters were taking, I just couldn't figure out how they connected. The main point where the story completely lost me was when we established throughout the movie that after midnight, Shaggy and Scooby are unable to get back to the real world. Well, that's what I thought I heard, but then after midnight, a whole army of goblins go into the real world, and Scooby, Shaggy, and a talking pumpkin named Jack, who is voiced by Jay Leno, just fly out with ease. Another thing is that I had to ask, why are Shaggy and Scooby taking the scepter? Can't they just say to the Goblin King, hey, if you get the scepter over to that guy, he'll just destroy the universe? Call me stupid, but the motivations and actions of Shaggy and Scooby and quite a few other characters just don't match up 100% of the time, making the story just a little bit hard to follow. Also, fun note, the Goblin King? Tim Curry! Now that just makes me wish he had more dialogue in the movie. Okay, time to hit the bottom line. Goblin King is a lot of fun, was a cool art style and world, but the characters' motivations make the story feel totally contrived and make a tad bit less sense when you start thinking about it. It's fun to look at, but not all that smart, to put it bluntly. Get it if the fun of it sells you on it. But if you want a fuller experience, then just skip it.
Scooby Dooby